Hello, everyone. 10 o'clock Sunday morning, Eastern Time. So my aperture there. Let's see. There it is. That should be work good. Hi, everyone. I'm aLex Levin. So glad you're here for our practice this Sunday mornings here with Sun and Moon Yoga Studios community. I thank you for joining me. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. Without the out there, without something other than me, this would not be possible. Um, so your participation is so important today. I know that some of you have signed up, Nancy and Manda and Christina and Lauren, Tanya and Melissa, and so many others of you join regularly and watch later. And Catherine, I keep saying this even here on live and publicly. I miss you and haven't talked to you in so long. Some of you I know, some of you I know well, some of you I haven't seen in a long time, some of you I've seen recently, some of you I don't know, but we're here together to do this. So let's center. We'll have I thought about calling today's session micro movement instead of mini movement because the movement has been really slow lately, right? It's been following our breath. It's been moving our eyes, following where our attention is going. So a bit different lately. So let's go ahead and ground. Okay, I've got a few props today that I need to have close enough to me. So as same as I'm doing here as before I'm grounding, I said we're going to ground, but do have what you need close by to you. And that could be something to keep you warm if you get cold. It could be some tissues if your eyes are watering or your nose is running, as my eyes are both. I've got both going on. It could be a glass of water. And so let's arrive. We've come into the room. We've come into our spot. Excuse me. Calendar wise, today is in the Northern Hemisphere, the first day after the winter solstice. We're moving the first day where daylight is lengthening. And I suppose in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the day is a little shortening, going toward the shortening. Just had the longest night of the year, I think 2 nights ago, not last night, night before. Many traditions around this, including, in my opinion, the major religious holidays have to do with this darkness and light. That balance in ourselves. So to arrive, as I've invited you to arrive, maybe you can notice what did you do? Was there something in your mind that shifted? Where did your attention go? How do you do that? Sometimes these kinds of questions might seem hard or strange. Um, if you're not sure how to even approach such questions, it's fine. In fact, a major theme of today, this solstice, stillness, this meeting the dark is, and in a quote from David White, although anybody could say this, but I just heard it from him, the poet, how we can have conversations with the unknown. How to have a conversation with the unknown. It's a theme I'm often visiting. So I often share the cues, ground, sound, breath for arrival. This favorite of mine for 7 years now that I learned from my embodied life school teachers. Ground is so useful, so much like that story of the Buddha who, when he was accosted in maybe one of his final but really huge, tumultuous meditations, he just reached down to touch the ground. Just find himself again, find himself to realize all that in my mind and that memory and the imagination is not as real as as this ground right here, right now. And so how we actually feel to spend some time just feeling how I feel the ground through my pelvis, through the skin, through the bones, through the weight of my body, through the nervous system, through the pressure against against the body from the ground and from the pull of gravity or push of gravity, whichever direction we're coming from. It's very restful, isn't it? Stay in that. We can feel how we're held. And I'm going to invite you to linger a little more here with a little assignment, an assignment to, as you're feeling this groundedness, and perhaps maybe it's not true for you that you're feeling some comfort in this and some ease. If that's not true, it's fine. Stay with your own experience. That's the ticket. And and bring to mind some place where you feel really safe, peaceful, content. Safe, peaceful, content. Perhaps that is at a place in nature, at the beach, walking in a park that's familiar to you, or maybe a park that hiking somewhere. Could be imaginary, could be imaginary. You can conjure it up, but bring it to life vividly in to present life, to a presence like the colors, the smells, and in your telling of yourself of this place, put it in present tense, not in past tense or future, but present. Maybe it's a favorite chair. I have a chair. I've had it for many years, and I've not used it that much. It's one of those butterfly chairs, which you can swap out the cloth. I think I got it at Crate and Barrel like 25 years ago. A test, sorry, a little aside. It's some things don't last that well anymore, but wow, that one is a good one. And that chair, I love to sit in it and read. It's very easy to move. I can move it different places in my house. Folds up and opens. So what is your place? Maybe it's with certain beings, animals or people, family, friends, pets, birds, and feel how you're feeling now as we're kind of sinking ourselves into the imagery of this place, this experience that where we feel safe, peaceful, content. Notice perhaps that your breath is easy. It's not necessarily deep. It might be shallow. It's just easy. Perhaps your heart rate feels slower. Perhaps the wrinkles of your brow and jaw have released a bit. And if there's a place in your body that's especially alive right now, maybe it's a warmth in your heart. That's kind of where I'm feeling that the most. It could be in your belly. A lot of times it's in this central area where I'm showing with my hands the jaw, when the jaw and throat and heart and belly and all the way down to the deep belly are, these are deep feeling areas, as well as our hands and our face has a lot of areas that are very sensitive. So that feeling of sort of relaxation, it might be highlighted around your forehead and eyes. And connect with that part, sort of put a put a pin in it to be a reminder for you. And perhaps give a phrase or a word to how this experience feels for you. Maybe you'll take mine, safe place, safe, peaceful, content. SPC, safe, peaceful, content. Add a verbal cue to it. So we've got the place in our body that's a cue. We've got um, some kind of language cue. I'm kind of liking my safe, peaceful, content mantra. I thought I would label it somehow else. But take a few moments to vet that one, to get it so it really rings true for you. And perhaps a one word is easier for you, is a better handle as in what was that? That was like the name of the CB radios, right? It was the your name, your call sign, pilot. Um, and maybe a symbol. For some reason, a snowflake is coming to me. The gentleness, but the vividness of a snowflake, vivid in its coldness. Okay, and then let's check in with breath. So keep all that going. We've got the place in our body that's associated with the safe, peaceful content. We've got a maybe a name or a handle for it. And notice your breathing now. Perhaps we mentioned this before. I mentioned it that the breathing may feel a little slower, calmer, easier, softer. And this is in preparation for meeting our darkness or meeting something difficult, meeting something unknown, tangled, perhaps confused. Those are a lot of different aspects for kind of a big group of things, but they could be lumped in all that unknown and what something we tend to fear and to be tinged with fear. As the breath, just to explore for yourself, sometimes adding a hand, feeling the body is more than useful, so useful, not only in that sensing, but that co-regulating. I'm borrowing that very popular term from psychology these days, but we can help ourselves. We can co-regulate with something other, and our hand can be that something other for the parts of us to come in sync with each other and to come in greater harmonious relationship. And then sound. So we've got that ground. We found our safe, peaceful, content place in there, or made it up. We feel our breath, and now listen for sound. Notice perhaps That listening, opening to listen, even if you're in a fairly noisy place, to stop and really listen fully. There's the obvious sounds, but when we can stop to listen, I've got my headset on noise cancellation, so I can barely hear sort of a hum in the background of maybe it's the heat, sort of the sound of the house. Almost nothing. There's a almost a light staticky feel. But if I was in a noisier, more vibrant place, I can imagine listening for what's beyond the obvious, and that heightens. It like puts our alertness on. The last couple weeks, I've worked with sharing something I've been working with a Feldenkrais teacher in an online workshop of how we can use the feel of pain, of something uncomfortable, to help us map out the more of what is there, to use it, I borrow Eric Schiffman's phrase. And that helps to bring in, to actually create healing by diminishing the power that that pain has taken over of our, has hijacked lots of our nervous system by um, usurping so much of our attention. And I don't know if that's accurate. There's so many ways I'm struggling for the full way of describing this. It's a exploration still, and it's maybe there's not even a way in words to become completely accurate with it. But we need words to get ourselves there, and we go into the feeling of it. So now, having established this presence, maybe this some comfort, and maybe like me, you have something like my cold in this room. I forgot to bring my space heater. There is heat, but not enough with the coldness outside, with a lot of windows surrounding me. So there's that edge. But as I'd like to invite you to think of darkness, think of the longest dark night. If you're here in the northern hemisphere, the what's happening now, the longest night we just had, and for some people, the coldness and early darkness of winter, summer in the southern hemisphere. So flip it for yourself. And some people really hate that time, hate that time of year. But darkness can be night, or those sleepless times you awake and you can't sleep. It can be something difficult for you in your life. And I invite you not to choose something overwhelming, but it could be pain. I often, for some reason, more in the evenings now, I've been having a lot of pain in my upper back and neck area, left shoulder blade. You might invite that. And whatever it is, just as with the comfortable place or the peaceful, safe, content place, um, bring it into presence right now. To be truthful, I'm not really relishing bringing in that pain I just described to you, that physical pain. Um, but my own choice is going to be something more emotional that I bat up against. It's kind of an anxiety, fearful pressure I put on myself, um, that grips me, that's very hard for me to control. It just comes, frequently comes, easily comes. Maybe you have one of those. It's so familiar. So identify that, get a good feel of it already. I feel the queasiness that one brings to my pit of my stomach. So identify it, identify the place in your body it lands. If that's iffy and you're not sure how to find that, take your time with it. It takes time to find it, to identify it. Perhaps there's a little phrase, perhaps you get clearer on the way, like I said, queasy. I almost have a queasy sour. It's almost like it's old and fermented. That this one for me, dense and heavy. And I invite us, along with having established that peaceful, safe, content place is so important to, and for me, this sense of familiarity of this practice on this YouTube portal, of this community for decades for me. Even if I don't know you, as I said, you're part of something very familiar for me. And that helps us to now sit with that dark thing. And I invite us to somehow bring our hands. I'm going to bring my hands, one close, very close to my lower belly, the other on the side where I'm feeling this a little more, so that you're almost sharing the space with your hands, and not to analyze it, and not to really, even so many teachers say befriend it. Even my teacher says befriend it, but I take an extra step. And he does as well. There's a step-by-step way for this. I'm not, I can tell I'm not really wanting to befriend it. I want to push it away. So I'm more like just hanging out close by in a safe way, safe feeling way. I do want to get to know it. That is true. And if that's true for you, so find what's true for you, is what I'm saying. Maybe you need more distance. There's a technique of, if that thing is more difficult, put it over on a chair near you, or even across the street, or in another town. Um, for me, I'm ready. This one's so familiar. I'm ready to be fairly close, but observing it. And I can feel I have some attitude toward it, but I also have a curiosity. So we can invite that curiosity, which part of that is to recognize that these things that we kind of are in a fight with, or in conflict with, or have a difficulty accepting, they may be a tangled web of things. They may be linked with something difficult, dark, confusing, which is not necessarily bad. They're just our tightening of our body. And by coming to just see it more clearly, we may start to see, huh, see that I've got this tightening response, but it's something that was probably all I knew how to do at the time to help me deal with something that was just more unbearable, the emotional part of that, or just unfigure outable. I didn't know how to be other. I just like clamped down and got to it, got to trying to fit that expectation, that, yeah, that's the word, expectation. So I'm kind of modeling what's happening with me and hoping you'll go along, not for what's exactly the same, but finding your own edge of entering in this conversation with what really, in a sense, it's not the unknown, it's so familiar, but its truth is unknown, its truth is unclear. That's an interesting distinction there, I found. Okay, so wow, I've done this exploration for almost the whole time. Let us now enter into a very short meditation, and I'm going to start with, I had two readings, but I'm going to read you one. It's David Whyte's poem, another David Whyte, and it's called sweet darkness. So now release your hands, release, set up for meditation as well as you can. That might mean some shift from where we were. And now we shift from that micro movement exploration, which was very meditative in itself. And now we're stillness. We're in the solstice, which equals stillness. It allows us to go even deeper, even closer without analysis, without language, without identity, just pure being. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. It's time to go into the night where the dark has eyes to recognize its own. It's time to go into the dark where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will make a home for you tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. You are not beyond love. A night will give you a horizon, a contrast that where light is, maybe even just a glow, a glimmer. Contrast will help us see. Safe, peaceful, content. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking this exploration through the dark, which there has to be light there, as dark as it is. If it's completely dark on one side of the planet, light is still on the other side and coming in time. Dark can never put out the light. There's a phrase in the Bible, I think, from there I heard from someone else's talk this week. Thank you for taking that exploration with me, and may you still have great celebrations in various ways in these inner explorations, in the various spiritual and religious celebrations of this season of the new year, of one ending to a new beginning. And may you have healing. And may that healing for yourself, may you know that that radiates out for everyone else. Thank you. See you next time. Check our website for all our offerings, and I'll be at the studio next Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock in Arlington for an hour of tuning into the yin, to the quiet, as I do here. But we'll do it with some yin poses as well. Bigger movements than here.